Buddy. How you? Well, what's up, everybody? How you all doing tonight? So obviously, some really crazy news happened. It's one of those news that, well, I guess for guys like me, even though you kind of knew it was coming and probably coming fast, it still is like a shock at the same time. Kind of contradictory. I know the thought of it is not lost on me, but I felt it was super necessary to talk about Ozzy Osbourne, aka John Michael Osbourne. And I'm glad I got my bonded my metal guys here with me to talk about it. And this is wow. I mean, it's kind of like losing a family member in a weird way. It really is because Ozzy, like a lot of my family members, I've known him, not like know him, but like known of him most of my life, almost all of my existence. It's like I've heard your voice, I've seen you live, I've listened to your CDs, your vinyl, my car, my friends' cars, your radio, seen you on TV. I've seen you in tons of movies that I love, movies I didn't love. It's crazy. It really is just like that. I almost like it was like, wow, this has really happened. I was shopping, taking my youngest out shopping earlier, and then I got the news, and it was just like, man, what? And as I'm getting in the car, I'm like, it still doesn't feel right to me. It still doesn't feel right to me that it's happening. It's definitely are you sure about that? Are you really sure about that? Bear with me, guys. Sorry. I'm gonna bring in the guys here, and we'll if anyone in the chat wants to put in a few minutes of thoughts. We're not gonna go forever. It's probably gonna be like hour and 15, hour and 30 at worst. I'm gonna try to bake on the show, but if anyone wants to pop in, have a few words for a minute or two, just let me know and I'll post it, throw you in here and you can have your piece. But for now, I've got my Bonded by Metal crew because yes, I did start a shoot off metal channel that will be strictly focused on metal going forward, but I can't not let you know in case you're here, say, hey, I'm just here to throw a light. I'll catch the replay. The replay won't be here. I hate sound like I'm plugging stuff because it's really not the appropriate time to, but I'm doing this for those who are wanting to catch the show later. So if you want, hold up. Apologies. I just posted in the wrong link. Oh, see, Ozzy's situation's wrecking me already. I may not look like it, but trust me, it's weird. I posted in the absolutely wrong link here. So, okay, let me get that link. Where is it? Apologies, guys. I'll bring in the guys while I'm fixing this. So, welcome to the stream, Disciple of Rock.
Hello.
How's it going?
Good. Everything's going good.
Awesome. Pope Metallicus, how are you, sir?
Well, like you said, it's a shock. It was one of those things where you're kind of surprised it didn't come sooner, but you're also, it was one of those moments we thought in the back of our minds was never really going to come. Because he's, like you say, he's been there our whole lives.
Okay. No, I'm going. I've got this corrected. Imperatus, how are you, sir?
No complaints.
Your volume is super duper low, homie.
Let me take a look at that.
Yeah.
Come back to me.
Yeah. All good, man. All right. I'm getting the link. Okay. Awesome. I got the Bonded by Blood. All right. Bonded by Metal. Sorry. Didn't. All right, guys. This is the Bonded by Metal link. So if you are a metalhead, this is the link to follow for where this show will be on the replay. But anyways, I'm going to have this panel go across the board, tell us about their first Ozzy memory. So I'm going to start off with the youngin', the new kid on the block, Disciple of Rock. You're the newest one that hopped on here into this world. This really is a world within itself. So you have the very freshest memory of this. And because you have the freshest memory, I feel like you're the most appropriate to lead off.
I think it maybe goes back to the simple ones, Paranoid and Crazy Train. I think, obviously, like growing up with people who really liked classic rock, not that they were sad with their Ozzy fans, but listening to classic rock radio and going to a lot of sports games, either just two songs that always were playing at those things. and that's your first introduction to Ozzy. And as you get older, you start digging deeper, and you realize, holy cow, Crazy Train's not even close to the best Ozzy song. Paranoid is not even close to the best Sabbath song. And so it gets you into this world that, he helped create, and an absolute legend. Whatever there's criticisms he had, and I think everyone has them, but you know what? This is not here to criticize Ozzy. This is here respecting what the man did, because no matter what you can say, the man still was part of one of the most iconic, not iconic, but one of the most important bands ever.
Oh, absolutely. Irrefutably so. There's no point of contention on that. I agree with that. So anything you also want to add to your thoughts, like the song that was like, this is it for me when it came to Ozzy or Sabbath or both? What was the it factor for you?
The it factor. Well, it kind of really starts listening when I did Vinyl Revival, the Black Sabbath episode. That was my first real deep dive into Sabbath. And obviously the first album blew my mind, right? Just Black Sabbath in of itself. But I think in hindsight, the song that always sticks out to me is Children of the Grave.
Oh, good song. Obviously the song that Danzig basically used for Am I Demon, even though I love them both. But yeah.
But it is, Ozzy's vocals are perfect on that song, and
really good.
Yeah.
So good.
Amazing.
Okay. Pope, sir, tell us about your initial Ozzy Black Sabbath memory. Where did it become love for you?
Well, I mean, I grew up listening to Ozzy and Sabbath on, classic rock radio, because I grew up in, the early 90s. So that was like when that was still fairly fresh. Ozzy was still releasing new material. Ozfest was always obviously a big thing when we were kids. So I knew him from that side, but I never really dug deep into the music until I got a little older. And then, like Disciple said, I went back into the old stuff and found stuff like, Fairies Wear Boots, NIB, my personal favorite, Sabbath, Bloody Sabbath, and, all of the classics. And you can really come to understand why he was as important as he was to the foundation of not only Sabbath, but heavy metal in general.
Okay. Imperatus, how you sounding, buddy? Are you alive? Are you dead?
There we go.
You sound great. That's the Imperatus I want to hear.
I don't know what's going on. I've been having a lot of audio issues lately.
You're having trouble trying to get it up lately.
Hey, knock off the old jokes, damn it. 70s isn't here. I'm the oldest bastard amongst us.
Hey, there's medications for that.
Let's
Disciple, just a reminder. You live close enough. I'm willing to drive there to slap you.
All right. Imperius, go ahead.
I'm trying to remember because old, but I came from that era when Ozzy was looked at as a complete and absolute madman. Biting the head off the bat. Like the Alamo thing, like more definitely during his solo career. But I personally got into Sabbath before his solo stuff. I remember I was visiting my grandmother in Western PA, and we ran out to go do something. We stopped at like a Kmart or something, and I picked up pretty much a best of Black Sabbath. And I was just like, wow, some of this stuff is, tracks like NIB and Children of the Grave and stuff like that. It's like, yeah, okay, this has got some... Because at the time, all I heard from Black Sabbath really was War Pigs. Which, yes, is a classic song, but when you're like 11 years old, you kind of want something a bit more, if that makes any sense.
It was a necessary gateway song.
It's yeah.
Where, it's there for the people who are at Buffalo Wild Wings to enjoy their sports game or their party.
I mean, I feel the same way about Tom Sawyer and Rush.
Yeah, or Run to the Hills, Iron Maiden.
Yeah.
But if you're someone like, man, what else do these guys got?
Yeah.
That's where it gets fun.
And then when I started hanging out with a buddy of mine that I'm still friends with to this day, he had a bunch of the solo Ozzy records, and I would check them out when we were hanging out. It's like, all right, yeah, this is pretty good. I kind of fell off a little bit right around What the hell was the name of the first album he did with Zach Wilde
Oh God.
that had
Oh,
Crazy
No More
Babies on it?
Tears?
No, it wasn't No More Tears.
Oh God, I'm trying to think here. Which one was? It wasn't Osmosis.
Nope, those were later.
Yeah,
Like I
those
said, it
were
was the
later.
first one, the very
God,
first one he did with Zach Wilde.
I'm just gonna look it up
That's
because
what I'm doing now. Yeah,
yeah, just look
because
it up because I don't know the order. Like I know most of them by title and order, but there's a few that's like out of sync. But
oh,
go
No
ahead.
Rest for the Wicked.
Oh, right at the tip of my tongue.
I
Yeah.
kind of fell off there because, to be honest, I am not a Zach Wilde fan.
Okay.
You know, people are like, oh, he's such a great guitarist. Yeah, well, then why does all his shit sound the same?
That's a whole other conversation.
Yes, it is.
We don't need to go down.
No,
that road.
that's why I kept it short.
Not the road for tonight. Yeah. But Deepo 101 for 2 says, I'll hail the Prince of Darkness. We shall miss him. Agreed. So for me, it was fairly standard at first as far as getting into Ozzy Osbourne. I don't remember the exact order of all the bands I got into first, but I know what it was like very distinctly for Ozzy. I remember that very well. So of course, I heard Crazy Train. I heard Mama, I'm Coming Home. And I thought they were cool songs. Of course, I heard Iron Man and Paranoid and War Pigs. And I thought they were all fine. But then I decided to hear Blizzard of Oz. I'm like, hey, this is a good album. It was a really good album. I'm not just talking about the hits, the singles, but the album. And I remember liking it. I'm like, oh, it's good. But what really made me a true believer as far as Ozzy's solo go was Diary of a Madman, man. When I first heard those opening notes Over the Mountain, whoo,
Over the Mountain, Bark at the Moon,
banger
both
at the
fantastic.
banger. Dude, that was it for me, was that album. Like I said, Blues of Oz is cool, but man, with Diary, that was like, for me, that was just better in every way. I love that album. Love it. And of course, there was killer albums that came out after. And I remember thinking, oh, what was this stuff like in Black Sabbath? And that was, of course, I heard the other earlier albums, but for me, the one that once again really brought home for me, what made me a true believer, was Master of Reality. Now, there are times throughout the life where I've kind of, on some days, I've favored Volume 4 a little more, but lately, I'd say probably the last year I've been on Master of Reality as far as my personal favorite. But yeah, I've gone up and down here with those two albums. But Master of Reality, that was like, boom, that was the album for me. I was like, holy shit, this is awesome. The riff was killer. And of course, I was really getting into how did this band start, the typical Tony Iommi story. I got my Ozfest moment in. I caught him in 07. It was the Ozzy solo band. It was really killer. Of course, I enjoyed it. Obviously, it was the typical, stereotypical, standard Ozzy set list. But, consider it was my first time. Of course, I was going to eat up the moment and enjoy every second of it, to which I did. My buddy, Benoit Juggalo Deathcock in the chat, who's a real-life friend of many, many years. Actually, I'm going to share his story. His is really killer and exceptional. Why? Because he got to experience during the Ozfest days, which was for those in chat who don't know what this means, Ozfest was a traveling festival for metal, hard rock bands in the summer during the 90s, 2000s, and specifically the year 2006. Ozzy didn't perform on the big amphitheater stage. No. He performed on the smaller, scaled back down lawn stage at 4 or 5 p.m. crowd. He got to experience that Ozzy show. And in my opinion, when you take away all the bells and whistles and the big production, and you just get the band in the raw primal form, it's just the guys and the music. To me, there's something more special about that rather than the barricade and everything so separated between the band and the fans. You're a lot more engaged when you hit. It's just the band on the lawn. He got to experience that Ozzy show. So to me, if there was a Ozzy show you had to catch, in my opinion, he caught that show. And to add the cherry on top to his show, I thought this was some urban legend, and then I found out from more people it was true. Juggalo Deathcock told me that as soon as Zach Wild hit the opening notes, Mama, I'm Coming Home, it started coming down raining. I mean, you can't get any more fitting of a setting for a song like that for him to do that. I had heard some rumblings apparently, and Deathcock, you correct me if I'm wrong. I heard from our people that there was hail at one moment too. I'm like thinking, if that's true, even if it was just the rain, the fact that you start off that song and it just starts coming down, there's a something poetic and special to a moment like that. That it's like if I had never heard the song again, I would be fine because you caught that lightning in a bottle moment with that. And finding to us at the first Ozfest, no, my buddy Deathcock, he caught this at the 2006 Ozfest. But my moment was 07 Ozfest. I don't know if these guys, you, Imperatus or Pope, you tell us if you saw Ozzy or Sabbath or both live.
No, I can't say that I have actually.
Really?
Yeah, unfortunately,
not one time.
No, unfortunately, when I was younger, I had a tendency to miss out on a lot of shows. Like, for example, I could have seen Pink Floyd. They were still touring when I was in high school, but I didn't get to go. While I was still in school, suffice to say, which is kind of weird, surprising, considering how I am now. But my parents were a little strict about shit when I was in school. So, shit gigs going on a school night, I wasn't going. You know what I mean? It is what it is,
Yeah. Go on.
So no, I've missed out on a lot of bands that I should have seen live. Like you and Pope know my love from Monomarth and Fintroll. Yeah. Missed both bands 3 times each.
That's crazy.
And Fintroll was in a tiny freaking club. I would have been able to hang out and drink with them. Although, well, maybe not. Finns are crazy when it comes to drinking.
Yeah.
Clarification from Juggalo Deathcock. It was actually the beginning of the solo. That's even better. I didn't really feel hail, but the rain was torrential. If it started the solo, that's even more poetic. I mean, that's even better. I appreciate the correction, man. But yeah, that's a damn great reason to get corrected. Holy shit.
Yeah.
That's outstanding.
I mean, I did think today was kind of weird when I was going to work and I threw on Sirius and I listened to Liquid Metal. I was like, No More Tears. I haven't heard that in like 20 years. Huh. Okay. And because I looked at the internet or anything and I got to work and I had to open up my phone for something to show my boss. I was like, first article I saw, I was like, oh, huh. Well, past couple of weeks have been really kind of fucked for dying people.
Yeah, right.
Well, I had 2 in my family last week.
Oh, really?
Back to back. My aunt on Sunday and one of her sons on Monday.
Oh.
So when it comes to death, I've been in a weird headspace the past 2 weeks. Especially now that I'm getting older.
And then Ozzy's.
And then now Ozzy is like, what the hell?
Yeah.
And even, this is a little unrelated, but the actor who played the son in The Cosby Show.
Yeah.
He just died the other day too. And it's one of those things where
a lot of death last month too. There was dropping like flies, man.
We're talking about death on the way to for those of you who don't know, yesterday I went to see Ghost, and on the way there, obviously sitting in the train on the way to Boston with a bunch of metalheads, we're all talking about guys dying, and we're all like, hey, you got to go see Alice Cooper because he's probably getting close. But the weird thing was we were talking Ozzy, right? We're talking about his final show, how just kind of breathtaking that was and somber that was. The last time Sabbath is coming out, right? Come home late, this morning, and then wake up to find out that Ozzy died. It was just kind of like, wow, I was just talking about him. Very, very, it's a weird thing.
Yeah, that is weird because it was like that with my aunt and cousin. Me and my mom were actually speaking about him a few days prior. But, I mean, it's one of those things where, and I've seen other people say this before, you can always tell the worth of a man by how many people come and celebrate his life.
Oh, ain't that the damn truth? And with that back to the beginning show, I'm glad he got an ideal ending out of that, considering I remember when he was supposed to do a tour with Priest as the opener. It was 2018 or 2019.
I think it was 2021, actually.
Well, it got postponed to 2021. That was like,
and then he had to cancel. That's right.
It was originally 2018 or 2019, and maybe the later version included Priest. But either way, he had a tour. that was completely postponed indefinitely into 2018 or 19. Got moved in their year. Then we all know what happened in 2020. I'm not going to go over that. And then 2021, 2022, obviously with Priest. And that didn't pan out as well. And that was right around 2023 when he realized, I am not going to be able to tour. No matter how many times I postpone this tour, this is not going to happen.
You know who I think the next might be to actually cut off touring?
Who?
As much as I hate to say this.
Who?
King Diamond.
Oh, I would bet on that. Yeah. But he's never been, he hasn't been a heavy tour outside of 2015 for the last.
Well, he was having heart issues.
Years.
Yeah, so. I got a funny feeling Saxon's next.
Oh God,
Saxon could be next.
Yeah, Biff Byford. I mean, he's old, but
Maiden,
he sounds so great.
All it's going to take is something to happen to Steve Harris, and Maiden's done.
Oh God, they're
hold on.
Years, they're going to be fine.
Yeah, I was going to say Maiden might be fine without Steve Harris.
He's the one who writes a lot of the music now.
Maiden.
That's what I'm saying.
He's there, it's going to be
okay. I get where you're going with that. Yeah, you might be right.
We're going to read this here, and this is from 2 years ago. This is from Rolling Stone magazine. Yeah, I know. Been a shit magazine for 20 years. I know. Water's white, snow is white. Peter Parker, Spider-Man, Rolling Stone magazine shit. However, that's not the point here. There is something relevant here. And this is what Ozzy said 2 years ago in this interview. If I can't continue doing shows on a regular basis, I just want to be well enough to do one show where I can say, hi guys, thanks so much for my life. That's what I'm working towards. And if I drop down dead at the end of it, I'll die a happy man, he said at the time. Dude.
Wow.
That's a little on
that
the
was
nose.
Not even a month ago. Not it's even like a month ago. It was serious. It's like, I think my buddy Dustin, Keto Simple Dustin, he's like, dude, he straight up had to have held on just for that one show, to get that one moment.
It's either that or they were in negotiations for this final show, and people were haggling and dragging their feet. And then I think he kind of went to either Sharon or the boys and went, look, I don't have long, and here's why. And everybody immediately ceased their bullshit, and he was like, okay, this needs to happen.
And the best thing is he got to go out on such a good note, because it was like almost like $190 million was raised for Parkinson's charity. Mm-hmm. Like,
yeah.
The dude died doing something incredible.
Something great. And he also, we got that send-off that we always wanted with Sabbath, which is just Bill, Tony, Geezer, and Ozzy on stage one more time.
And we can all take great pride in this, that from what I heard, and this might be wrong, but the money they raised from that was the highest any benefit concert has ever raised. And think about it. It was raised by a metal show.
Yeah, yeah, pretty
and
awesome.
And it wasn't just, there were bands there you could definitely not say, or definitely could say they are not radio metal. Mm-hmm. They're not MTV metal, like borderline shit I listen to.
Well, you had some more obvious names like Metallica, of course, Lamb of God, obvious typical names. But then you also had names like Anthrax and Slayer open up as well. You had Gojira open up, and we could all go into our opinions on all those bands. But what was cool, and this is something I have speculated and guessed on, even though I've not really looked into it, and I could be wrong, because I thought, back to the beginning, we're probably going to get I assume we're going to get one last full show out of Ozzy. They turned out like about a month before the show, they're like, oh, he's going to do a shortened set, and he's going to be sitting down. So I thought, okay, maybe all those bands all doing a Sabbath song or two was their way of making up for that. Was I positive maybe a band or two was going to do it anyway just to pay their respects one last time? Yeah, probably. But I theorized that since every band covered a Sabbath song or two, I think they were trying to fill that void since he had to do a insanely shortened show. And it wasn't like I knew better. In my heart of hearts, yes, I would like to have a song like Sweet Leaf in the set, but I know I have a greater chance of going vegan than for him to play that song. He probably doesn't remember how to sing that song, not just because of his bad health, but he also doesn't perform that song in like 40 or 50 years. So I know better. So I that's one of those rare things where I can be more understanding and accommodating. You're like, you know what? Just let him have his last moment to sing whatever it is that he's gotten in. Because and I get it. As much as the D-cut guy in me would like to have had something like that. To be fair, even when they were doing the reunion tours, 2001, 2004, 2005, it was all pretty much a standard Sabbath set list. So even when he was a lot more functional, he wasn't going for anything truly out there.
I think the thing that made that concert so amazing was just the fan reaction.
Oh yeah,
right.
Oh, I saw the crowd was alive for that.
And
show.
Listen, there's parts of it where where people want to laugh at the old rockers up there barely singing and sitting down, right? And I think at the time I kind of oh man, look how bad he is. Right now, kind of just understanding he had Parkinson's, but the fact that he didn't have to go all out and sing, that he could just let the crowd piggyback on, that crowd was there for him, was just really touching to see that, as that's the send off Sabbath should have gotten.
Yeah, and it was a beautiful send off.
And the fans have been, we're fans. We talk about how bad this album is, or how bad these guys sound in their old age, or whatever. But I was really glad to see that when Black Sabbath, the OG team, shows back up for one more night, the fans showed out in freaking style.
Yeah,
and everybody was into it. It wasn't just I'm not really a fan of Ozzy Sabbath, I'll set this one out. Everyone was butts in seats. Let's do this.
And that's the way I am with this whole thing, right? Because people who know me, I am a critic of Ozzy, and I am not necessarily the biggest solo Ozzy fan, right? But here's the thing: if a non-metalhead is talking about Ozzy, you best believe I'm going to step in and defend him, because he's one of us, right? It's like a sibling, right? You can criticize him all you want, but someone outside your sphere is going to pick on him. It's like no, you're not picking on Oz.
No, it's kind of like the whole I can make fun of my brother. But you sure as fuck ain't. You sure ain't gonna do that. I can do that. Not you.
I don't think any Taylor Swift fans would raise almost $200 million for charity.
Oh God, no.
Because their parents are buying them the $400 nosebleeds. They don't have money.
Oh, some of those parents got the money. Oh, they got the money.
Oh yeah, but they're not gonna give it to charity.
No, they ain't gonna give it to charity. She'll be a launderer and go make off with somewhere and say that all went to. We all know that. That's as once again obvious as snow being white. We know that, but no. Even though I didn't catch all the videos, it was cool to see some of the more obvious tributes. And then there's some bands where okay, they did that song. I can't remember who did Sabbath, Bloody Sabbath. It was either Slayer or Anthrax did Sabbath, Bloody Sabbath. And then obviously Pantera did Planet Caravan, because of course they did, because it's a cover on Far Beyond Driven. And it was cool to see. I know Lamb of God did Children of the Grave. I can't remember what Metallica did, but it was cool to have those bands all doing a Sabbath song.
Yeah.
And I'm more glad that they got Bill Ward back, because when they did the 2013 through 17 run between the album 13 and the tours that followed with it, obviously there's that dispute, which we're not going to go into, but we just know that it happened. And they had a series of drummers that they are going through for those tours and albums. So it was nice that they were able to get together with Bill Ward for that one last show. And I'm really happy that they did, because we definitely needed Bill Ward one last time. And I'm sure Ozzy and Bill Ward would agree with that saying. Obviously, I don't know them, but I bet you if I had a psychic mind, I bet you they're both mutually happy that they were able to get all four of them together for that show.
I was really glad to see Priest record War Pigs as a single too, because they couldn't be there, but they could release the video and they could release it as a single. And they've been doing that as a kind of intermediate cover on their live set forever.
Yeah, no, true. They recorded a video for that and everything. Volume Deer put Metallica did Johnny Blade. Okay, that's killer. And
yeah, because Priest plays that before they come out, War Pigs. I'll bet you when they start coming here, the people are going to be screaming that on the top of their lungs for Ozzy.
Well, and there was a time too. I think it was Tony Martin at the time couldn't do a show that it was Priest and Sabbath were both on the lineup, but for some reason Tony Martin's voice was shot or couldn't do it or whatever. So Rob Halford came out and did the set with Black Sabbath. And of course, War Pigs, they came out and I think that was the first song they did. So that's a little bit of the deep lore right there.
I remember seeing the.
Oh, that's right. Halford was with Sabbath for a stint, right? Or just that show?
for a
Just
show.
that show, I think.
Because it
Just
wasn't
the
as good
show.
as people
But
think.
people were like, "Oh, imagine if this happened," and then the reception to that was very mixed. Some people are like, "Wow, I thought in theory that would work," and then some people I think liked it, like genuinely liked it. But then there's some people like, "I don't know about that," and those are people who were like initially over moon. And I'll say it myself, I would have been over the moon about that idea too. But
Oh, me
it's
too.
one of those things that just because two things are great on their own doesn't always mean that they're going to work great together.
Perfect example.
Ooh.
I like pineapple. I love pizza. Put them
Don't go
together.
together.
Yeah, I agree. It's not the worst. It's just kind of there. And Lindsay here, I want to highlight this comment. Johnny Blade is my favorite Sabbath song. See, she's actually sang a Black Sabbath song, so that's what I like to see. Someone who's mentioning another song, and she says, "Never Say Die" is a really underrated album. Great album. Oh
How
yeah,
ironic
I
is that given the last video
Hold
we
the
did?
Sky, Killer.
Hold the Sky's on Sabotage.
I think Paul wants to say something.
It's like Never Say Die is underrated. How ironic given the last video we did.
Oh,
Oops.
dude.
Never Say Die. The boys are back in time. What?
Well, ever since Imperitus has gone about the whole Testament demonic thing, now I won't let it go and like post shamelessly about Testament Low because I love.
Yeah, I saw that earlier.
I'm not letting that go now. I'm really going all in on my love. Maybe a bit too much, and guys, don't say how, but you know how I'm going all in on my love for Testament Low.
Hugely.
And let's just say Pope and Disciple and Pierce are like, oh, he really did that now with that album. They know what I'm talking. That's their inside baseball.
But here's the thing, Nick. I wouldn't want you to not give me shit about it. If you didn't, I'd be like, what are you, a fucking poser? Give me shit.
I mean,
pushback.
Hey, I'm not afraid to defend what I like, even if it gets challenged. That's the beauty of those conversations. But
that's
go
the beauty
ahead, Disciple.
Of metal. I was because when I was in line for Ghost yesterday, about a quarter-mile line, probably longer. Me and a cool metalhead were just talking. Dude, we were disagreeing with each other left and right, but we had a fun conversation, and that's the fun of this whole metal genre is we can absolutely vehemently disagree on an album or bands or singers, right? But at the end of the day, it's like, hell yeah, that was a great conversation, man. And it's why, I'm honored to be part of this kind of space with metal, because it's just the greatest genre in the world.
I agree. Strongly agree. Yeah, I love it that we have this. I've been involved with this stuff for well over 2 decades, and I've met a lot of fans, from around the planet. I've gone to festivals like my buddy Juggalo Deathcock. We've gone to Maryland Death Fest in Baltimore. He's been at far more fests than me. I know he goes to FTA. He's gone to stuff in California. I think he's going something in Michigan soon. I mean, I've gone to Hell's Heroes in Houston, Texas. And it's crazy, the diehardness of fans all over the world. And some of my wildest nights of partying involve hanging out with other crazy metalheads and not remembering half the night at 5 or 6. Yeah, there's nights where we would call Domino's like, yeah, we want 7 toppings worth of bacon on pizza.
Dude.
And that's literally happened. So
dude, even at the Ghost concert, half the audience was probably college age girls, and it was still like one of the most rocking atmospheres I was ever at. And just a bunch of metalheads coming together.
I want to say it. This wasn't at the BTB show, but Trouble playing Supernaut at Cobra Lounge was the best set. Oh, dude, that's great that you mentioned Trouble because that's a band from our state. Trouble. And you know what? That's a good point of weaving into another part of this topic. Black Sabbath straight up spawned an entire subgenre of metal. There's bands who are influential and they, bands, oh yeah, I ripped off this band and their extensions, but they spawned an entire subgenre, which I'll highlight this comment for my buddy Pope here because Nuclear Assault, what the fuck's up?
Yeah, I got a story about them guys.
Well, for another day.
Oh yeah. Oh no, when we get to thrash, you'll hear it and you'll just go,
okay.
oh, that sucks.
But doom metal the subgenre that Black Sabbath spawned. Whether you're talking about newer doom bands like Windhand, or you're talking about bands from the last 30 years like Electric Wizard or Trouble.
Oh, I like them.
They have
Candlemass,
that was the next one I was going to say. Candlemass,
Swallow the Sun.
The whole subgenre of bands have shamelessly ripped off the Ozzy sound of Black Sabbath, and a lot of them will say, "Yeah, we're just Black Sabbath, but with a different singer."
I mean, case in point, could you not say Cathedral is just Black Sabbath with different tuning?
I'm not going to disagree. I'm not going to disagree. And I like Cathedral.
Listen to early Soundgarden and tell me that's not Black Sabbath ripoff.
Oh, actually, God, yeah. Kim Thale was clearly all over aping Tony Iommi in the early Soundgarden. Oh, absolutely. It's so obvious. Yeah, a lot of that stuff. Stoner Doom. Even you can make an argument, some of the stuff that from Corrosion Conformity, obviously down from Phil Anselmo, really apes Sabbath.
I mean, you can even get to some of the more underground stuff. Not that they're really that underground in this day and age, but like Catatonia,
early Catatonia to be specific. Yeah, yep. I would agree on that.
Like we both said, Candlemass, Swallow the Sun, Orange Goblin. There would be no stoner metal, let alone stoner doom, if it wasn't for Black Sabbath.
Yeah,
and there's some underground ones too that are just coming out now. Like, they've been around a while now, but like Lucifer is
good. Yeah,
just female-led Black Sabbath.
Yeah, that's what they are. Is female-led. Sal's Windhand too. They're basically female-led Black Sabbath as well.
One band I saw live, I had never heard them, and then when I went to go see Primus cover "Farewell to Kings," the Sword opened for them, and they're basically
the Sword they're Viking Black Sabbath.
Yeah, and the other one I just discovered this year sounds very similar to them is Bloodstar, which they're brand new. I think they only have one.
I've not heard them. I'll have to listen.
They are fantastic. They're one of my
Would
bands.
Neurosis be Doom? I'm gonna say there's a strong Doom influence, but they are not a fully pure Doom band, but they definitely got that stuff. It's definitely there. Like, it's prominent. It's as prominent the way High on Fire has a prominent Doom sound. It's not fully Doom. Obviously,
Doom-y
is far more Doom than High on Fire is, and they both share Matt Pike. But yeah, they're Doom-y. Thank you, Imperitus.
That's how me and my friends have described stuff like that. It's kind of Doomy.
Bloodstar fan in the chat. There you go.
Or or if they got the black metal influence, it's Blackened.
Yeah, like Castle Rat. More D&D, but very Black Sabbath-y.
There's another
Love this game. Brutal Legends was a very fun game. I remember seeing Ozzy in that. I got a kick out of that.
I've been playing that game. That game's fun.
Not only did I play it, I still play it on my Xbox.
That game should not be fun.
I avoided it like the plague.
It's actually good.
I know it is, but I will not support Jack Black in anything.
That's fair. That's fair. At the time we got, because we're like,
metal.
This is actually good.
Yeah. No, I've always heard it was decent. But another band, speaking of video games and also Doomy as well, there's a band I've been listening to. I think I've linked them to you, Pope. Maybe not you, Nick. Band called Soul Mass.
I actually don't know.
Oh, yeah.
They're Dark Soul. They're from Soft Metal.
Okay.
All their albums have been about Demon Souls, Dark Souls, or Bloodborne.
So it's like Kirathungal, but it's not Lord of the Rings and Elric.
Yeah.
I mean, in some ways, you could even say bands like Summoning and Caladan Brood, while both black metal, have heavy doom elements to it.
Listen, I'd even say, like, I'll go out on a limb and say this, right? I would argue the two most influential bands on metal are Uriah Heep and Sabbath, right? But I'd even argue bands like Priest are gonna have some inspiration from Sabbath, right? That really heavy sound, like. Sure, the speed is way different, but
well, Obituary is basically Black Sabbath, but with death metal singing.
Yeah,
it's death metal singing
because even their fast stuff isn't very fast.
Yeah, and Obituary songs are not fast, but their tempo is very in line.
Bolt Thrower, you could say the same.
Black Sabbath songs, even death metal has a lot of that Black Sabbath sound as well, because for those bands,
Obituary, Bolt Thrower,
hyper blasting. Death metal, they are more about the groove. They're maintaining a steady groove, but there would be elements where it would be faster-ish, but it wasn't like full on.
Yeah, Bolt Thrower, Obituary both fall into that. You got other bands like Autopsy. Is that the one that's got the? No, not Autopsy.
Well, Autopsy was Death Doom, and they're basically.
Is that the one that's got the drummer? That's a singer. That's their singer.
Chris
Okay,
Reefer
okay,
from That's
okay.
Reborn.
For whatever reason, I get Atrocity and Autopsy mixed up for some stupid reason. And then you throw a Volzed in there, and it's like, too many A's.
Atrocity's killer.
No, they're not bad. They're good German death metal.
Things we learned this evening: never let Imperius near a morgue.
But yeah, Black Sabbath's influence on metal isn't just one particular style. If it wasn't for Black Sabbath and Ozzy's solo career, I mean, the black metal band members can say whatever the fuck they want, especially back in the day about how they would say some dumb shit, but
they were listening to Black
Sabbath and Ozzy were part of their influences. I'm sorry. Even me, Mr. Big Bad Black Metal guy here, I grew up listening to more than Sodom and Venom.
And Sodom and Venom will tell you, we were listening to Black Sabbath.
Sabbath,
yeah.
I mean, hell, even the most kind of not egotistical, but obtuse with his references, Corthon from Bathory openly said it. They're like, we want to be Black Sabbath, but Motorhead.
Black Sabbath. Yeah.
And that's essentially what they turned into. So mission accomplished.
Description,
and not just sonically, but Black Sabbath also gave some of the darker visual elements that metal has used over the decades.
Yeah. Tony Iommi, all it took was a bad accident to happen, and that accident turned everything around. I mean, imagine if Tony Iommi never had an accident? It's kind of like, if you think about it, it's kind of like a weird superhero origin. So it's like, what if Peter Parker never got bit by a spider? What if Tony Iommi never had a big accident that happened with his fingers? Like, it's a great what if.
Yeah.
What if this happened?
Well, okay, here's another one for you. What if Judas Priest never evolved past rock and roller?
Oh, I can't imagine that.
I
wouldn't have my metal meltdown.
I mean, what would the state of metal be?
Nowhere near what it is.
You know,
I don't know. Don't do that to me. I don't imagine that.
It's like without bands like Priest, Saxon, Motorhead, and Sabbath. I mean, I don't know that it would be a thing anymore. I think it would have gone like punk did, where it was popular for like 5-6 years, and then got really derivative and then dropped off.
But I'd even throw Uriah Heep into there, because some of the speed and some of the heavy stuff they did is highly influential when you listen to other bands.
I can name a couple metal bands who've covered Uriah Heep songs. So,
Wasp. A lot of people do.
I'm trying to think.
Go ahead. I was gonna say the Finnish band Ensiferum did a really good Uriah Heep cover.
Okay, I'm glad you mentioned that, Imperius, because that's a great segue.
Uh-oh.
I'm not a covers guy, but you guys, that's more of your scene. Imperius, what's your favorite Black Sabbath cover? Who did your favorite Black Sabbath cover? Who's the one you're like, okay, this is damn killer?
You have to come back to me on that.
Okay, Pope, spit it out.
Say that's a good one as well, because I know a bunch of bands who have done Black Sabbath covers, but I've never been a huge fan of most of them. I may have to go with Zach Sabbath doing a lot of their stuff, because their version of Supernaut is titanic. But I may have to go with that, because Zach really did do him justice.
Lindsay says Supernaut covered by Ministry. Okay, killer. That's hey. No one mentions that one. Once again, Lindsay coming in with the good takes here.
We're talking here.
Lindsay's coming in with the good takes. I like it. Disciple. I know what is your one?
All right, so I don't really have one, because when you have a big band like Sabbath, I'm not really a big fan of covers. But I'm gonna maybe kind of do a bit of a what if here, okay? Now it's gonna involve Ghost, because I'm kind of on a Ghost kick after seeing them. I'm sorry, I apologize, but
that's how it goes.
Yeah,
I would almost want to hear Ghost do Hand of Doom.
So it's on you would like to hear, but hasn't been done. Okay,
it hasn't been done. There's a couple was it Hand of Doom? I was listening to something else today. It's not Sweet Leaf. What's the other one he does? Electric Funeral would probably be interesting, but I really think Hand of Doom would be a good cover for Ghost to do at some point.
Actually, you know what one? a lot of people don't like the song even when Sabbath does it, but would be interesting to hear Ghost do it would be Spiral Architect.
Yeah.
Because that's more their kind of more bombastic, like epic scale stuff.
Okay. I like it. I like that you guys got these. Davina Duckworth says John Denver singing War Pigs. Okay. I did not know that one. Divine Dealer loves the Ministry cover as well. You guys all having your fun with your Sabbath covers. Now, for me, when I saw Ozzy live, 07, it was killer, even though it was in the amphitheater stage, so I was still a distance away. I could still see him, I can still hear him, and he did sound good. And he was fairly active on stage, which I was shocked at. And I've always but that's when I started piecing it together. Oh, Ozzy's probably just one of those guys who could sing better than he speaks. Because at least when he's singing, he knows what he needs to say because he's been saying it for 30 years. Versus if he's having a normal people conversation, he has no idea what to say to anyone because, well, yeah, he has to think about it. And where, at least with singing, he does have to think about it. It's kind of ingrained in his DNA. And I've not heard the inverse cover. I couldn't tell you. I couldn't tell you about that one. So I'm the wrong man for that. Wrong wheelhouse.
So I want to propose a question to you all. Okay. Oh, where was I going to go with this? I just had it on the tip of my tongue. Oh gosh, don't you hate that you have a really good thought and it's just there on the tip of your tongue and then you
story of my damn life, dude.
Oh, yeah. Here it is. Ozzy has, everyone looks at Ozzy and the Osbournes as being the bumbling idiot, right? That he can't talk. Oh, it's because his brain is fried on drugs. Go back and watch early Ozzy, even like before the drugs would have had an effect on him. He was always stuttering and kind of clumsy with words. What do you guys think about the changes of him that he was autistic? Because I think he was.
It's possible.
Look at some clips and make up my mind. It's not something I never put together, but go ahead.
Look at him in photos. He acts like the autistic kid in the group.
It's something that never crossed my mind.
Yeah,
he could have just been socially awkward and not autistic.
Yeah.
And as far as my favorite cover, Nick, I'm kind of going to go a bit old school here, but Anthrax's Sabbath Bloody Sabbath. Because that was actually the very first Black Sabbath song I ever heard before I knew, then when I found out it was a cover, it's like, oh, what do these guys sound like? And
Anthrax needs to, I'm glad that they love Sabbath, Bloody Sabbath, but if I could say one thing to Anthrax, guys, if you could play less covers and more originals, that would be great.
Yeah, they do a lot of covers.
The Black Sabbath, but between Joe Jackson's Got the Time and Antisocial, that's 3 covers. You could be playing,
but their versions of both those songs are freaking great.
Yeah. I don't disagree. They're fine. They're fine. They're fine for what they are. But guys, could you at least do a few tours where you say, you know what, we're gonna put Antisocial on the back burner, and we're gonna play Blood or Belly of the Beast from Persistence of Time.
They don't play Belly of the Beast, really?
They do sometimes.
They do.
Not always.
But tell me, guys, they always play Antisocial.
Oh, that's my.
It's not even their song.
I'm not going to do this. Well,
someone else is
not going to do this.
Corpaclani covered Got the Time recently, too.
So they cover a Joe Jackson song.
Yeah. So imagine Got the Time with an accordion solo.
Song. I've had to correct many a dudes in my life, like, oh yeah, I like that Anthrax song, Got the Time. I'm like, that's not an Anthrax song.
Yeah,
it's a Joe Jackson song.
Yeah.
Which, if you associate a cover with a band, that means they do a really good cover. Then, right? It's like the band Ghost, right? Like, I'm sorry for keep bringing them up.
I was gonna say, dude, you keep mentioning them. You're approaching broken record status now. Then
sorry,
I get it. But
I enjoyed it way too much last night.
Oh, they do put on a good show.
Oh, but they're another band. They do a lot of covers, but man, they're always good.
See, it's like if you look at George Thorogood, most of his major songs are covers, but he does them in a way that just makes it his own.
Johnny Cash, same thing.
True.
Oh, Joshua Gonzalez has a great comment here. I mean, he was 15 when he left school, so he wasn't really educated, and a lot of British people where he lived sound
Well, yeah.
like that.
Hey,
Okay.
Birmingham.
That
Birmingham
and that
boy.
and sometimes it could be something simpler like that. It could be. You know, apparently Ozzy thought it was a fake bat when it came to the biting off the head. I call bullshit. I'm sure he knew it was real. He just didn't care. It's okay, Ozzy. It's okay. Just admit it. You knew it was real. You wanted to have a moment. I'm not going to shame you. If anything, I would be like, you are a braver man than I am.
Yeah,
It's
he
like
needed.
that's one of those moments where you just got to respect the man. Like, all right, hey, you committed to the bit.
He did.
Let's
He
do
went
it.
all the way. He was dude. He was being Charlie Sheen before Charlie Sheen. I
Yeah.
mean, he had tiger blood. He had OG tiger blood in him.
It's like winning. I don't know, man. I was banging 7-gram rocks and finishing them because that's how I roll. I have one speed. I have one gear.
Go. Tell me I'm wrong, Ozzy.
Yeah.
Well,
Tell me. Give me a
just
sign.
like Charlie, he kind of let himself turn into the meme over the years. It was kind of hard to tell where John Osbourne stopped and Ozzy started.
You're right.
He's one of those guys where he started off at life as John Michael Osbourne, and then Ozzy Osbourne became who he was. It was kind of like a superhero identity. He forgot like the balance of Superman Clark Kent. Now he's just always Ozzy.
It's like always the argument of who's the real Bruce Wayne. Is it Bruce or Batman? And I'm not so sure Ozzy's not the real John Osbourne.
Well, I've always made the argument that Bruce Wayne is Batman, not the other way around. Bruce Wayne's the disguise because Bruce Wayne is the front of what he puts on to the public, the persona. Who he is at his heart is Batman. That's obviously I will go into a comic book tangent that I don't need to do, but conversation for another. I wonder if Ozzy knew the dove whose head he bit off was real too. Those pictures, I didn't know. Well, what is that a thing too, or am I?
Yep.
Or is this just a joke?
I mean, I've heard rumors of that. I don't have confirmation. We know the bat's real.
Okay. Yeah, I got nothing. I got nothing. But man, one thing I'm hoping going forward that people get out of this, I hope people look beyond the singles. Like if you're in the chat and you're like, okay, these guys are talking about Ozzy, Black Sabbath very passionately. I'm hoping getting out of the show 70s. I see you in the back door. I'll get you in shortly. Bear with me, and then we'll have you talk. I'm hoping if you're like new to this type of conversation, you guys think, okay, what should I check out from Ozzy? And for me, you can either choose as a gateway. This isn't about how I feel. This is not about my favorite. I'm just saying what seems to be the most normie friendly. I would say look into the album either Blizzard of Oz or the album Diary of a Madman. Either or, take your pick. Blizzard of Oz or Diary of a Madman. Now, even though my favorite Black Sabbath album is Master of Reality, which, wow, what a shock, Nick. Oh, God. Such a surprise. But I'd say if you were going to get in the most normie-friendly album, a Black Sabbath, I mean, don't just listen to Iron Man. Don't just listen to War Pigs, but actually listen, to the album. Listen to the first two albums, either Black Sabbath or Paranoid. Listen to it once again, like Ozzy, do the 1-2 thing or one or the other in whatever order you want, because they're gateway, normie friendly, and if you like what you hear, you can go deeper. So if you like Diary, you could go into No More Tears or Osmosis. If you like Paranoid, you could go into Master of Reality. You could go into Volume 4. You're not losing from that situation, whichever way you go. So, yeah, for me, my personal favorite is Diary of a Madman. That's my personal favorite. But I also, and luckily that also happens to be a fairly normie-friendly album. So I'm hoping people come out of the show who are not as well versed, who are just here for the conversation. They look into the albums. Don't just look for the singles, because those songs are fine for what they are. But it's kind of like every greatest hits album from every band ever.
Yeah.
Their best songs are never what's considered greatest hits. It's
No.
always the stuff you don't hear. Think of it like a fast food or even just a regular sit down restaurant. It doesn't have to be fast food. Think of it like that. There's a lot of good sit down fast food restaurants, but the best spots are always the spots that you don't hear being talked about. The best burger joints are from your local mom and pop shops. Think of the albums as the mom and pop shops, and Paranoid or War Pigs or Crazy Train. Think of those as the McDonald's and Burger King of the genre. Hopefully I feel like that's a really well-placed analogy that makes a lot of sense. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm laying in that 70s rock fan because now we have the entire Bonded by Metal crew here for this momentous occasion. So 70s, I want you to have the floor for the next, however long you want to take. Your first memory.
I don't, as you know, I don't take long.
Well, now today's your day where you get to do that.
I'm slipping in the back door. You mentioned the back door earlier.
For Ozzy, I want you to tell us your gateway. Maybe your favorite albums. Catch shows live. I want to hear your true Hollywood story.
Well, first of all,
I want 70s to come out of the closet for this show.
Well,
I want you to feel like you're being seen. Okay.
You have the biggest dick I've ever seen on a man.
So it's a strange day indeed. It's a day that we may have come over many times over the years, and it came as a complete shock today. Regardless of the fact that I often say that my favorite Black Sabbath albums are Heaven and Hell and Mob Rules and my love of Dio, I cannot and will not deny Ozzy his place in history. And Black Sabbath, with Ozzy as their frontman, in their place in history. He was the frontman of the most important band in metal history, which makes him one of the most important bands in rock history, full stop. And to me, I mean, you could argue the toss about the roots of metal and dozens of bands, but Black Sabbath are heavy metal. It's the first band that anyone should ever think of when the term heavy metal is said out loud, or even internally. So Ozzy was a key part of that foursome and became the most recognizable frontman in the genre. And the man that made being the frontman in a metal band something you could be. He had an undeniable charm and image. Is this guy Swedish? Snurdy Gurden Ferdingen if I'm Snarty Bard first. Slarty Bard first is my name.
Keep it up, you're going to summon something unholy.
So I no one could deny Ozzy his place in history, and quite rightly his place in history, because those are epic albums. The first 4, 5, 6 Sabbath albums, absolutely epic. And yeah, we all love the other members of the band, but Ozzy was the man that had to front that stuff. The public face of the band, right back to when Paranoid came out, having a number 1 or 2 hit single in the UK with Paranoid, and you're seeing Ozzy and Black Sabbath on pop shows like Top of the Pops doing this noise. And I was 7 years old, I don't know, something like 7, and that music frightened me at the time. I thought, what is this? This is frightening. Who is that guy? What is he doing? Why is he going like this? I'll go back to listening to safer stuff like the Monkees. But yeah, I mean, so like a lot of these guys, Sabbath have been around all of my life that I can remember almost. I mean, I don't remember too much before that era, before 1970. So it was only later, of course, 2 or 3 years after that, 3 or 4 years after that, when I seriously got into music and actually had the money to even buy cassettes to record other people's albums on, that I seriously got into that music as opposed to just the mainstream rock stuff. And it was just epic. I mean, and there was a whole bunch of us at school were like, yeah, this is the shit, you know. So this is the music of high school parties, you know, Ozzy and Sabbath, the music of high school parties, the music of get-togethers in people's bedrooms when you're in high school and you turn the record player up so loud that somebody's father comes in and says, "Turn that crap off," you know, that kind of thing. So much as I loved the Dio era Sabbath, technically there's an undying love for all Sabbath and Ozzy as a frontman. And then, of course, against all expectations, when he left Sabbath, he actually went on to do something pretty great separately, which was like, I thought, there's no way. I mean, this is, I thought this guy was going to be, you know, an ambulance somewhere. So, Blizzard of Oz was huge album for me in that era, and I was still at that point. I was still pretty young, you know, what, 17, 18, still a teenager. So that was an epic era, and that album was just scorching.
Yeah.
And so the Diary and Bark at the Moon and others are pretty good, damn good too. So the man is rightly an absolute legend. When they talk about the greatest bands and singers of all time, you can't just say, oh well, it's going to be somebody arty or somebody. Sabbath are right up there, you know. So this is it's a sad day, but I'm also very happy that he got the chance to go out in style. With the Aston Villa thing, the Aston gig, and that celebration, and he handled it really well. When you look at that day, that he didn't. He seemed extremely happy, which is fantastic. So I'm very pleased for him and his family and for the guys in Sabbath that they got to do that. And that's if you think about it, what a great way to go out and then to spend the rest of his life with his family, family around him. So, R.I.P. Ozzy, it's a sad day.
So
Quite emotional.
What were your favorite Sabbath and Ozzy albums? If you could pick one from each, and
If
what
I
were
was
the
to-
ones that are like, these are the ones that really tickle my pickle?
I think if I was to pick a non-Dio Sabbath album, I'm not. I don't want to.
You and I are that guy.
I
We're
don't
both
want to
that guy.
keep qualifying it because I do love Ozzy. It's just I always
I
loved
do
Dio.
too.
I love those albums. I probably would. It's tough. I'd probably go for Master of Reality or Volume 4. I'd have to swing between those two as the best Ozzy Sabbath albums, I think. I'm not sure I can pick. I'm not sure I could pick between them. Master of Reality, I would probably say, other than the fact that Paranoid as a song was extremely well known to me and everybody as a kid, Master of Reality was the first album I actually remember listening to all the way through because I recorded it on cassette off somebody's album.
Amazing.
She's that. So that I'd probably have a soft spot for Master of Reality, but
It's
Volume
so
4,
good.
Volume 4 is an epic album too.
It is.
So-
It is. There's some darker riffage all overall, especially on songs like Cornucopia.
Yeah.
But man, Sweet Leaf, there's just something about that introduction on Massive Reality. Man, I feel like I just want to kick a bunch of dudes in the nuts when I hear that one.
Yeah.
There's just something
And then
about
you
that
have the
one.
really heavy shit like Into the Void and After Forever.
Oh,
Well,
dude,
Into the Void is just epic.
what a
I mean,
closer. That's the thing. It starts strong, it finishes strong.
if you think about that album, I mean, it's got Sweet Leaf in it, which is obviously a favorite. Children of the Grave.
Oh,
Good song.
that's the best Sabbath
I mean,
song.
that's just epic. I mean, it's such an
Right up there.
epic song. I mean, there's nothing. I mean, even now, I mean, what, that's 72? So it's 53 years ago.
Yeah.
Am I right in saying? It doesn't sound 53 years old. There are bands today who would die to sound like that. They would kill to sound like that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And whilst
Self-control even, perhaps.
I would, I mean, I don't want to sound like I'm knocking Ozzy. Ozzy was never a great singer, but he is a fantastic frontman.
Oh, he's an incredible frontman.
Yeah,
He's
it's not to say
really good frontman.
it's not to say that
dude,
he
so
couldn't sing certain material really well. He had a voice, but he was a great frontman, which is
I would agree with
almost
that.
as important.
I would agree. I mean, he did have that one advantage. He did know how to work a crowd a bit better, and I feel like sometimes that adds to a show for some people on that emotional connection versus some guys who are just kind of playing the show live and just being a tight band live.
But he put
wants to be a
everything
frontman,
into it.
not just the vocalist, which is fine. Not that some bands it works that way. But Ozzy wanted to be a frontman and not just a vocalist. Whereas guys like Dio, of course, obviously it's My Rule's my favorite Sabbath album, but obviously he's more so a vocalist than he is a frontman live. He has his moments where you see the frontman come out, but more so he's a vocalist's vocalist. Just a really incredible one at that. But Ozzy was a plus level frontman. He knows how to have the crowd at the palm of his hand. I definitely would agree on that.
Absolutely. There's a handful of these guys in rock that can work a crowd like that. Obviously, Freddie Mercury as well, and there's others. But and I'm thinking classic rock. There's probably bands I don't know of, or then mental frontmen that could just get a whole crowd slavering, as we say. But Ozzy is one of the few who could get a whole stadium going. The energy he would put into that performance, other than when he was too stoned out. But yeah, the energy he could put into that performance. And you see it when you look at old clips of them in 1970, 69, 1970, whatever, playing in that ballroom with 200 people. And he's given it that energy then. But he would give it the same energy in the stadium later, He loved what he was doing. I think that's the important thing. He loved what he was doing. These guys loved what they were doing. They didn't do it for cynical reasons to become rich and famous, although they loved that when it happened. They loved what they were doing. They believed in what they were doing. So much so that all their material was their material. They weren't covering a lot of stuff. They did their own material and pushed it hard live. They did it the right way,
Yeah. 11 Alpha, I'm glad you mentioned this. Yeah, I totally had forgotten about it. It shows you how much, once again, has happened in the last few weeks. Yeah, obviously, Kelly was proposed to by Sid Wilson of Slipknot. I'm not here to make a Slipknot conversation. I know that's obviously a hot button, but I will say that's a pretty classy move of Sid to do that. Because is it something, if I was in a position like his to do, would I have done that? Yeah. Yeah. So I get the sentiment. So I do respect Sid for making a class move and going for the back to the beginning show and doing it there. I feel like that's a very appropriate man move to do. So I will say I respect that from Sid Wilson.
Yeah.
So good for him. Good for him.
By the way, I just saw your retweet of Thernovith.
Oh God, Mike Cernovich.
Coming from the guy who talked about liking backdoor action from trans women. Right? Like,
boy, bitchopotamus Max.
Oh, I made the joke on X today. I'm like, so this is going to distract, all the Juicebergs are going to say this is distracting everyone from Epstein.
Yeah, the last thing we need is for someone to derail the moment here. So, and I won't let them. I
No.
want to think of the fun that we have gotten out of it. So, Mike Cernovich, fuck you. Okay.
Yeah.
Up yours. Eat shit. Go drink your soy, goat milk, vegan, skinny, gluten free, vegan latte.
And
We're
to
going
all
to
the
enjoy Black
people
Sabbath. We're going to enjoy
bringing,
Ozzy, and we're going to do it however we want, whenever we want.
and I saw a couple people trying to politicize this. Just shut up and let's just enjoy what the man did. Because you know what? Listen, we'll have political meetings, but at the end of the day, we're freaking metalheads. And you know what we want to do? We just want politicians and everyone to leave us alone, and we want to rock out. So let's use this to rock out.
Yeah,
Agreed.
and like, you know, all the people on both sides, you want to bring up his death and, you know, some take he's had in the past of a reason that he shouldn't be remembered at all. You are free to
bullshit.
The hardest part of my ass. Go fuck yourself. This man's a legend, and he will be remembered for fucking ever.
By the way,
Speaking of
to all the
legend.
Christian conservatives who love the military, right? Black Sabbath was the one standing up for Vietnam vets when the hippies were being total assholes.
Yes.
Just want to put that out there. Black Sabbath's like, hey, these poor guys are coming up, you know, addicted to heroin because of the horrors they're seeing.
So let's try to bring it back to the middle here, because I know it's easy because of the conversation. But yeah, you are right, Disciple. Obviously, you're factually correct and all that, which I love. But I think we hit on something important in the mix of all that. And I think it was actually you, Disciple, who hit on that. And that is the fact that these guys are getting old. And it's so much more important to see them now. Like, I can at least say, you know, I never saw Sabbath. I will never see Dio because I lost my moment. I've seen Alice open for Iron Maiden. I've seen Motorhead twice. I still have never to this very day seen Judas Priest, and I gotta make sure come October with my buddy Juggalo Deathcock, we're gonna see Priest and Cooper live on Happens, because I need to finally just put that to rest. I need to see.
You see,
Priest.
you could have gone to Montana with me last year.
I know, but it was awful timing. I still need to see Accept. Sadly, that's not going to be a reality, because it was like I either choose that or Dark Angel. So I chose Dark Angel, and I've never seen Dark Angel because I had a one that got away moment with Dark Angel.
The fact that Dark Angel's going back on tour after what, 30 years?
Yeah.
40 years, you know?
Well, Dark Angel, okay. We're gonna go off topic for 3 minutes, but it's worth it. So you can all 47 of you can laugh at my expense. So it was about 2 p.m. afternoon. I decided to get into a mustard outfit at Maryland Death Fest in Baltimore, and Juggalo Deathcock was there. He could confirm this. So I wear a mustard outfit because, you know what, why not? It's a festival. I'm halfway across the country. I'm gonna do a bunch of crazy stuff. Why not? And I'm thinking maybe I'll get some cool out of this. Well, that's the problem. I got something cool out of it, and I got way, way, way too much of it. I kept getting people offering me free drinks. At first, it was the best thing ever. It's like, oh, this must be what it's like to be a lady, getting free drinks from all the guys. And then that started piling on, and it wouldn't stop. And I remember watching Tankard, and it was cool because that was a rare show for Tankard to play in America. Loved it. That was like when like the buzz was really kicking in. And then after that was Sacrifice. And that's where I was officially hammered. And then I left the parking lot to go back to my hotel. And the last thing I remember was walking back to my hotel. The walk to the hotel. I woke up and it was like 10 p.m. at night. And I'm in the bed at the hotel room. I'm like, oh no. How did I get here? Oh no. Oh shit, I missed Dark Angel. Oh no. And I found out everything I did on the way there. I found out I dropped in the room, blackout drunk, and the other guys were partying at like 4 p.m. And apparently I was blocking the door from them using the bathroom to shit. So they had to pull me. They had to pull me from the door because I was blocking the door for them. I'm like, why was I doing that? Like, you were just drunk. So, yeah. And then for some reason, like I would budge. So they just had to walk on me to get to the bathroom.
I had a similar one like I had a similar thing where you asked if I'd ever seen Sabbath live, and I was going to. I was planning on seeing them in the Metal Masters tour in 2010. Unfortunately, I then got deployed, so I was in Afghanistan when that show happened because I was in Southern California at the time, and I was like, "Oh, we got Black Sabbath, Motorhead, and Priest. Like the only one missing was Maiden and a whole bunch of other guys." I was like, "Fuck yeah, let's do it!" And then the word came down. We're like, "Hey guys, we're doing a workup. We're going to Afghanistan come like October." I'm like,
Well, I missed some key bands, because of the similar reasons, military reasons.
yeah.
So it did interfere. I never saw Sabbath. I never saw them.
I
I
forget you
missed
were in the
Dio Era
military.
Sabbath for the similar reasons.
I feel like you always just had a life with sheep. That's all.
Sheep know how to rock, You don't see them in their private moments. They don't just stand around in fields waiting for me to visit them, They have a life. There's been a murder in the Red Barn, as Tom Waits would sing.
I should have seen Ozzy with Sabbath. I definitely wish I had done that. At least I had a bit of a better peace of mind knowing that at least that I saw Ozzy solo. So it's like, okay, well, at least I had these. I didn't monetize the show, so if I got ad revenue, that's on YouTube side because I refuse to monetize the show to, let's just say, piggyback off of Ozzy's death.
Yeah,
I just want to do a stream because I want to have a place for us to discuss this between the panel and between the chat. So I sure hope that YouTube wasn't asshole and monetize it. I really hope not because I even put in the description, this show is not monetized. So I apologize if it is in advance. I'm not one to make apologies for shit, but that's a rare moment where I will apologize because I went on my way to not do it.
I like what Lindsay is saying in the chat.
I'll go
And
through it.
I've often said that too. If I had a time machine, people say, "What would you do if you had a time machine?" I would go back in time and see some of the most important concerts ever, and all the stuff I'd ever missed. I'd go to see the Beatles play in Hamburg. I'd go to whatever, and I'd work my way through, go to all the key gigs.
I'd want to see the Who at the Isle of Man.
Isle of Wight.
Isle of Wight, right? Yeah. Sorry,
if you went to the Isle of Man, you'd be in the wrong island, and nothing would be happening.
No, oh gosh, that's a concert I'd love to see. Or Leeds.
Yeah. Well, exactly. One of the live at Leeds. Yeah.
Hey.
Dude, I never had to see Ozzy say it, but I did get to see when Dio got to work on an interview.
Nice. Good man.
Hey, Nick.
Yes.
Why don't you share my screen real quick?
Sure, I'll embiggen you.
I've seen these. There's a few of these going around.
Yeah, but I liked that one. I really liked that one.
See,
there's another one with Dio in it.
Ozzy's strictly on vocals.
I haven't found that one.
Randy's on guitar. Lemmy's on bass with vocals as well. And
I've seen the Dio one.
Probably they're rotating drummers. They're probably rotating drummers because there's a lot of good drummers.
But that's it. That's all I wanted to show you guys there.
Dude. Look at that photo to the right. Randy, I'm coming on. I like that. Randy.
Yeah, nice. Right.
Oh, dude.
That's nice. Yeah.
The man touched a lot of people when you're seeing people who aren't even involved in music talking about it. I've seen posts from Adam Sandler, Triple H, people who have nothing to do with music or metal.
But they do. Ozzy was in Little Nicky, and
I get it, but
buddy with Ozzy because Triple H has always been a true blue, genuine metalhead. But go on.
Yeah, there is that point, but you wouldn't really expect Adam Sandler to talk about Ozzy Osbourne.
Yeah, that's true. I can see why you think that at least. Yeah,
if you think about it though, there's two songs that even normies who have no idea about much to do with metal or Sabbath, every time they're played somewhere, they'll start singing along. It would be Paranoid and Crazy Train.
I was definitely going to say Crazy Train. I'm not so sure about Paranoid.
Oh, well, it used to be. Maybe it's different now, but yeah, it used to be years ago that I put Paranoid out at something, everywhere we go. Crazy Train. Everybody knows Crazy Train.
Yeah.
They might have no idea about metal.
And they made children's karaoke versions of that song.
Yeah.
Well, and even if just in pop culture, that song is going to be played in every sports stadium until the sun goes cold.
Yeah.
And now Iron Man, of course.
Oh
Iron
yeah,
Man.
obviously because obviously it was already like essential to, I guess you could say, musical culture. But then of course the movie Iron Man re-solidified it, gave it a whole
Yeah.
new breath of fresh air. And at that point in time, I was already beyond fatigued with the song. But was I happy in the hopes that it would hopefully get someone in a Black Sabbath? Yeah, because between that, the fact that Tony Stark was wearing a Black Sabbath shirt in the first Avengers movie,
Yeah.
and he was rocking suicidal tendencies while working on some armor
Yep.
in the first Iron Man movie. Well, the good old wishful thinking, Nick, was, wishfully thinking.
And in the biggest drawback to Endgame, as I close my screen here, is that they did not play Iron Man when Iron Man Thanos snaps everyone back into existence.
They need
They
to.
missed.
No, they didn't miss opportunity. They saved us from that. They saved us.
Yeah, that's
I'm gonna be that guy and
kinda
say they saved us.
I don't
from
know.
that. Yeah, you just say for you it's different. You're a bit younger, so you don't
Yeah.
have the, let's just say, fatigue that I have. Maybe if I was your age, I'll admit maybe I'd feel differently. And I say this as someone who loves like Run to the Hills, or even I'll even just throw it out there, Paradise City. I love Appetite for Destruction, but if I could never hear Paradise City and Sweet Child of Mine, I'd be very fine with that. Even though I like
Yeah.
those songs, it's just, once again, you're obviously, I'm double your age. I was gonna say half, but I'm double your age. Because I'm double my age, I'm burnt out on the songs, even though I like them.
And maybe it's coming from you're burnt out.
Not even close. It doesn't die. That's not a fact,
No.
because there'll be shows
Metal
coming.
is not only not dead, metal is actually stronger than it's been in a decade.
No, but see, metal is right where it needs to be. Because I've heard people like, "Oh, when's rock and roll gonna be like the thing again?" And I strongly reject that sentiment. And here's why I strongly reject that sentiment. It's not that I'm opposed to the idea of it happening, because for all we know, it could happen again. But I'm okay with it not being that way. For me, metal is right in the spot where it needs to be. It's big enough where it's got a following, a strong, loyal following that can maintain and pass on for generations. But I like it when it's not getting the mainstream coverage.
Yeah,
I like it when it's not people who are jumping in because it's the thing to like at that point in time. I like that we're not getting people who are into it for one song as much as there used to be. It was a welcome idea to try at the time, because you want to be open to the idea of new fans, sure. But the thing is, it's been proven time and time again. A lot of those people, they come and go. They're into it because it's the thing to like, until something comes around, whether that's grunge, whether that's emo. There's a lot of Johnny come latelys, and they're there for the moment, but they're not going to be there. They're not going to be there 10, 20 years.
And here's the thing.
I like my here to stay crowd. When I go to Chicago shows, I'll let you take it soon, Disciple. I like when I go to Chicago shows, like, I know I give a lot of criticism to Chirac, but a lot of the older heads in the metal scene are loyal, they're consistent, and they are all about the shows. And there's guys there, whether it's of different religious leanings, some of us of different political leanings. We all get together. We have our wings, we have our drinks, but we're all there together, hang out for our love of the music. And though a lot of those guys have been there, and now I could say, like, I'm getting close to their time where I have now been there too. This is such a unique form of music that we don't need to fit in with the crowds of people who are there, because it's a thing. Like, let's do our own thing, celebrate it as our own thing, and we'll play by our own rules rather than play to other rules of people who will never truly accept us as we are. Disciple, go ahead.
Well, I think there's two things to piggyback off what you said, right? Right now, metal is in a beautiful genre, because whereas when you had like the early days in the 80s, right, it went from the kind of heavy glam to thrash, that went to the extremes and the cores, which the cores suck, right? At least in my humble opinion. But because now you have almost modern metal scene has every genre to work from, we may never see a whole evolution of genres where there's just going to be whatever kind of genre I want, that band's going to exist because it's already existed, right? So there's some more staying power there, but it being underground means we don't get 40-year-old wine divorced soccer moms coming up talking about how much they love Motley Crue or Poison. Like, now you're going to get hardcore fans, and that's even better.
Girls, Girls, Girls is one of the few songs where I can rock with it because I know like that shit worked for the guys, and I'll give the guys their credit there. It ain't my favorite Motley Crue song. I do like it though, but I'll say it got them what they wanted. So we'll say achievement unlocked, boys. But guys,
I had an older woman saying, "Oh, I love Motley Crue," but I'm like, "Oh, but do you listen to their first 2 albums?" I'm like, "The first 2 albums are gold." And it's like, oh no. And I'm like,
it's like the whole Def Leppard thing. I love the first album, On Through the Night. Great album.
Wasted.
It's a banger. It's a banger. It's a banger. But guys, we're gonna put in our final thoughts on Black Sabbath, Ozzy, whatever. We're not gonna plug our channels, not the show tonight, but
no.
I just want us to have our final thoughts. We're gonna get out here. As much as I'd like to do this longer, I don't have all night.
Giddy.
Yeah, I gotta go from this to another stream.
And you got to cross the stream, so you got to transition.
Yeah. No, hey now.
Don't cross the streams. Don't cross them.
Give us your first, your last thoughts on Black Sabbath, Ozzy Osbourne, whatever.
It's, as people have said on here and on Twitter and such, it's definitely end of an era. Yeah. There's no other way to put it. It's just one of those music icons, pop culture icons, metal icons, because Ozzy was all of those. Mm-hmm. When someone like him passes, that is the end of an era. When the last Beatle dies, that'll be the end of an era. It's both interesting and, in a way, sad at the same time that when you get to experience something like that, because they don't come very often.
Yeah.
And unfortunately for us metalheads, we're gonna have to deal with it a few times.
Yeah.
Probably sooner than we would like.
Mm.
Rob Halford isn't young. Bruce Dickinson isn't young. Biff isn't young.
Rest of Sabbath.
Rest of Sabbath. A lot. Alice Cooper. Even guys in Slayer. They're getting up there in age.
Oh, yeah.
Tom Mariah's looked like he's been 50.
Yeah, for since he's been 30. Yeah. Years. But it's, it sucks. But at the same time, it's monumental to see what kind of support came out for Ozzy. The fact that like I said, if I was right in what I read, that was the most money ever raised for a charity. And it was for a fucking metal show. And it was for Ozzy. And it just reinforces my belief that, yes, music is a universal language. Metal's a global one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a religion.
Due to guys like Ozzy.
Yeah.
Yep.
And half the bands that I love probably wouldn't be here, or at least sound the same, if it wasn't for Ozzy Osbourne and Black Sabbath.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
No, that's an
seminal.
That's not opinionated fact. That's an actual.
Without Sabbath, things would look radically different in this.
Yes.
Day. Yeah.
Because they influenced everything that I listened to, from Anthrax to Burzum.
Mm-hmm.
If you can't tell me there isn't Black Sabbath influence in Burzum, I don't know what to tell you.
And you ain't listening. You just that's simple.
I mean, a lot of that is translated through Bathory plagiarism, but we'll get into that in a different show.
Oh, don't you go down that well now.
No,
that's
please.
Conversation for a Bounded by Metal video.
But yeah, I mean, it's an end of an era. It's, like I said, both monumental and sad to be a part of it. But like you, Ozzy Osbourne's been active in some part of my life for as long as I can remember.
Imperitus, it's been good. It's been an honor, and your time is valuable, sir.
I wouldn't go that far.
Transition
onto
the world, and I appreciate talking about Ozzy Osbourne with you.
Oh, absolutely, brother. Absolutely.
Pope. Final thoughts on Ozzy.
I mean, what can we say? The man is a legend in his own right, even without Black Sabbath. And obviously, that was the reason for him being famous, but then he turned it into its own thing. And not everybody can do that. And like 70s was saying earlier, I think that's because of his own natural talent and charisma as a frontman that he was able to do that. And, you know, from the singer of Black Sabbath to the head of Ozzy Osbourne to the absolute meme he's become in pop culture over the last two decades. I mean, everybody knows who this guy is. He's the Michael Jackson of metal.
Yeah.
And the world will never be the same now that he is gone.
You could dance better than Michael Jackson. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
So, you know, with that all being said, you know, Godspeed into the hereafter, Ozzy. We will miss you forever.
Yeah.
Agreed. Thank you, Pope. Appreciate you, man. Will I see you Friday night when we talk the new Alice Cooper album?
You absolutely will.
All right, dude.
Oh,
thank
I'm
you
looking forward to
again.
that.
All right. Disciple. Go ahead and give us your final Ozzy thoughts.
Oh, man. You know, I think there'll be people laughing at us saying, you didn't know him. Stop talking like you knew him. Like he actually touched your life. And you know what I'm going to say to you? I am raising both fingers, the middle ones, by the way, in your general direction. Because you know what? It's not like an actor where I watch a few movies and enjoy what he does. No. Music, especially metal, it is your identity to be a metalhead. And if it's not for him, I lose part of my identity, right? And a little, just get a tad bit personal, right? Growing up trying to find what's your identity, where you fit in, just musically, and I need something that makes me tick. Searching for that, and then finding that in metal, and finding brotherhood, and just helping with just some really down times, and metal being the one thing that's been there for me, right? And it's always there for me. And a lot of that, listen, like I said, I've given Ozzy crap, but you know what? Ozzy's a part of that for me. And listen, no matter where you listen, like I said, no matter how much you can criticize him, I can criticize anybody. You can't deny the man's impact on a genre that's helped so many people and is giving joy and brotherhood to all of us here. So listen, Godspeed to Ozzy. You know, wherever you are, I know you're having a good time and you're rocking out, doing a big line of cocaine and singing something. So Godspeed, eat a bat, not from China, but eat a bat and rock on, everyone.
Just be careful to piss on the Alamo again.
Yes, exactly.
Placed, not from China. That was good. Disciple, it's been good. I can't wait to talk Alice Cooper with you Friday night. Thank you for being here, sir. 70s, your final Ozzy thought.
Well, it's. I found myself being quite emotional earlier today. It's quite, and that happens a lot in my age because as my heroes die off. But this one was a real blow. Sabbath and Ozzy have been a part of the fabric of my life growing up, and their music. And people use the term icon all the time. Oh, so and so's an icon, so and so's an icon. What they mean is so and so is famous. They misuse the word icon and mean it doesn't mean you're famous. It means you're an archetype for something. And the epitome of that archetype. And Ozzy was an icon for metal singers, metal frontmen. He was an actual icon. He is the original and still to this day most influential in that category. So it's a very sad day, and he, despite everything, he always seemed like a lovely bloke, you know, just an ordinary guy from Birmingham, like, you know, who just happened to be loving what he was doing and putting everything in it. And I always appreciated that about him, you know. He just seemed like an ordinary guy who just had this skill for metal and rock. And I just, you know what I loved about him? One of the things I loved about him I know I'm going on a bit here because we're going to wrap up. You know, they had that big concert for, I think it was like Queen Elizabeth's 80th birthday or no, 60th year on the throne or whatever. And they had a big concert in London. All the artists were there. And Paul McCartney was headlining. And Ozzy was so excited because he was going to get to perform with Paul McCartney, and he's a huge Beatles fan. And it was like watching a kid. He was so excited by this. He's, oh, I'm going to go on stage with Paul McCartney. This is going to be so fantastic. And he was absolutely beside himself with glee. And I loved that about him. That his love of the music that had influenced him was still there. He wasn't this cynical superstar or whatever. So that's a special. I mean, for me, that was a very telling moment about the guy. He's just a legend, and we're going to miss him.
I agree. Well, 70s, it's been touching. I feel touched. And
you didn't touch me from there, luckily.
I'm glad you could be here for this moment. You know how slip in and surprise us late in the game. I felt the difference, and I'm grateful for that. As
You had room for a bit more, did you?
As are all the men here on the panel. So I thank you for your time and your contributions. King Conan's got one great comment I acknowledge. Says, I introduced everyone on my job today to Anthrax Persistence of Time. I love being in charge of the CD player. My man, by Crom. That's my guy right there. That's my guy. All right, for my last thoughts, and we're getting the hell out of here. Ozzy, thank you for everything.
Mm-hmm.
Solo, obviously the movie appearances, Black Sabbath, giving it everything you have until you couldn't. Even when you drove me crazy, I'm still thankful for you because, well, I have no idea what kind of guy I would be if I was never a metal. I don't know, man. Maybe my only obsession would have been comic books and pizza. And I don't know it probably wouldn't be wearing a Suicidal Tendencies hat or a Midnight shirt. So who knows what that would look like. I'm sure those things would be there, but I don't know what the rest would be. So I'm thankful for you, John Michael Osbourne. Rest in power, sir. Chat, this is the end. And for those who want to catch the replay, I will re-upload it on the Bonded by Metal channel. So this will go private in a few minutes. Thank you for watching the show.
Keith Richards, you're next.
We all know we can't touch